SHMACKEMAGOB, everybody. Hey, another killer donated episode from Mr. Greg Symanski, who wanted me to put my top 10 British heavy metal artists. I'm not quite sure now, when I started doing this, I was like, did Greg ask for 2 albums from these bands? I'm not sure if he did. If you did, I can do it to some of these bands, but not all. Now, if you did ask for 2, I wrote down here, honorable mentions. Great new wave of British heavy metal albums that didn't make my top 10, and I gotta say, Demon, Night of the Demon is a great one. More, Blood and Thunder, Quartz, Stand Up and Fight, which was produced by Tony Iommi. Savage with Loose and Lethal. Tokyo Braid with Midnight Rendezvous deserves to be on the list, but man, if heaven is hell, what else? And Tank, 5 Hounds of Hades. All great albums that didn't make my top 10. So here's my top 10. And here's the first band that I gotta say, I can't say 2 albums, I mean, they have a lot of albums, but this is the one that really grabbed me. And it's Holocaust with the Nightcomers. Awesome album. Production, poverty production, like all these, a lot of these new wave of British heavy metal had, I've said a million times, I'm not good at, ear production, but what I really mean by that is when people say the drums are too high in the mix and this and that. But overall, I can tell, that it's not very polished. And I would say that's one of them, but what an album. Deserves to be in the top 10. Number 9, Tigers of Pangtang with Spellbound. Man, Gangland and Tiger Bay. But you know what? It doesn't sound like Tigers of Pangtang, but Wildcats is a cool album. But it's got a different singer. It just doesn't sound like the same band. So I would highly recommend Spellbound first. But there are a lot of people out there I've seen online that love Wildcats the best. So hey man, maybe they're right to your ears, Greg. But to my ears, it's all about Spellbound. With the great John Sykes, man. Who later was on Thin Lizzy and Whitesnake and Blue Murder. Awesome. One of my favorite guitar players. Alright, number 8. And look, this one here, they have, 4 or 5 albums. I recommend them all. But my favorite from the band Satan, who made number 8, is Court in the Act. What a freaking album. Awesome. Killer. Number 8. Alright, number 7. This is a little tricky because this doesn't sound like a new wave of British heavy metal band. But they are. They were on Neat Records back in, when the new wave of British heavy metal stuff was happening. But it's more of a game changer band. Doesn't sound like new wave of British heavy metal, but they are definitely in the category. Because if you're on Neat Records, you are on, a new wave of British heavy metal. And I'm talking about Venom. Welcome to Hell is my favorite. A lot of people prefer black metal, and I don't blame them. Black metal is kind of like the sister album. They're both awesome. So yeah, I would say those 2 if I had to pick 2 albums. But Welcome to Hell is my favorite. Love it. And that's at number 7. Number 6, oh man, and you know what? I know they have several albums, but I can only recommend the first one. I can. Other people can recommend other ones. The first Angel Witch album. Oh, you're an angel witch. That whole album is just freaking amazing. Should be higher on the list. So should Venom, but hey, it's the way it rolls, bro. And number 5 should be higher on the list. And I'm gonna do something a little different. Because most of these that I'm picking is like back in 1980, early 80s. This band, they are new wave of British heavy metal, and I absolutely love the first album and the second one, but I'm going to recommend my favorite out of them. And number 5 goes to Raven. And my favorite Raven album is All for One. But the first one, Crash Bang Wallop and Wiped Out. Awesome stuff. They're all great, but I'm just saying, my favorite's All for One. That came out a little later, what, 82, 83? That's number 5. At number 4, you know, you gotta, this band is synonymous with the new wave of British heavy metal. And they have a few albums too, but I can only recommend one. Diamond Head with Lightning to the Nations. That band, that album is freaking amazing. And it deserves to be that high, all the way up at number 4. Number 3 is probably not a popular opinion, but let me tell you something. My favorite year of music was 1980. Just think about all the amazing classic albums that came out. Back in Black, British Steel, Women and Children First, Ozzy's Blizzard of Oz. I know it was released in Europe first, but it was in 1980. I could go on, you know? And also other ones that are on my list higher, so I don't want to blow it. But out of all those albums, I can't say this about today, but back in 1980, it was the album I listened to the most out of all albums. I listened to it more than Back in Black and British Steel and what have you. The first Def Leppard album, On Through the Night. It's still phenomenal. I still play it a lot, but not as much as, like, say, British Steel or something coming up on the list. But, and you know what? I like High and Dry more, but we're talking new wave of British heavy metal here. And High and Dry is a different beast. Totally different. I mean, it sounds like a completely different band. Sounds more AC/DC-ish, where, to me, On Through the Night is very new wave of British heavy metal. And it's got, you know, like a little influence of the Swede and Queen, but mostly new wave of British heavy metal. They were, I mean, the riffs on that album. And they were all like teenagers. I think Joe was 20. But the rest of them were teenagers. It's phenomenal. You know, it's probably the greatest album I've ever heard that featured teenagers. So that's why On Through the Night goes all the way to number 3, because it's very special to me. It's the most played album I played in the 80s, so therefore I had to put it high. All right, number 2. All right, here's the deal with this. Just like Raven, I'm going to pick a little bit later album, but their first, well, the first one's, it's great, but it's not new wave British heavy metal. The second and third one, both came out in 1980. And I'm talking about Saxon, with Wheels of Steel and Strong Arm of the Law. But that's not the one I'm gonna pick for this. I'm going with Denim and Leather. That's my favorite Saxon album. But it's a very, Strong Arm of the Law is a very close second. That's my favorite of the 2 that came out in 1980, and I love Wheels of Steel. But Saxon is at number 2. And number 1 is The Leaders, the band that, you know, other than Def Leppard, became the biggest band out of them all. And I'm talking about Iron Maiden. That's number 1. And the first Iron Maiden album, that's my favorite one. Most people will say Killers if they like the Di'Anno era more. I love Killers. It was my favorite forever, but the first one, to me, just can't be beat. So there you go, man. Run through: Maiden 1, Saxon 2, Def Leppard 3, Diamond Head 4, Raven 5, Angel Witch 6, Venom 7, Satan 8, 9 is Tigers of Pangtang, and 10 is Holocaust. So there you go, Mr. Greg Symanski. Another great donation. And Greg asked me to rank 5 other bands, so that's coming up. So stick around for that one. That's always a fun thing to do. I already have the stack here, but I have to take a shower, have my dinner, then I'm going to come back and rank. Want me to spoil it? Fuck it, let's spoil it. Instead of digging through the album, let me just say, Greg asked me to do Kiss, Priest, Maiden, Dio, and Deep Purple. So stick around for that. That's the next Greg Symanski video I will put up very soon. So thank you everybody for watching. And if you'd like to donate, I got a PayPal in the description below. And please subscribe to my channel if you have not. So, stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath. Smack 'em a gob.